Today we're going to talk about a very important topic, which is money. Cool entrance, right? We've done a 100-day honeymoon before, and we would like to share information that will be valuable for you guys. If you're planning such a trip, whether it's for 1 month, for 2 months, 6 months, 1 year, or even a few days, this is part 1 of the series, how to plan for a 100-day honeymoon. There'll be part 2 and 3 coming up in the next weeks. Stay tuned for those videos. We're going to split this video into 2 parts. The first part, we're going to talk about how to budget for your honeymoon or trip, and the second part is going to be about how to go about getting the cash in, how to get the money for it. First and foremost, you will need money. Money won't be falling out of the sky, although we would all want this to happen. You will need to save up your money, and we're going to give you a few tips about how much money you should be saving or budgeting. So step 1 is very important, is to budget how much money you're going to spend on the trip. If you don't budget, you might end up spending more than you should. You should establish a budget, and that might very well depend on your lifestyle. If you want to live like a king and a queen in hotels and having luxurious lifestyles, or if you want to opt for the cheaper backpacker style, that is entirely up to you. Obviously, if you want to live and eat like a king, you've got to spend like a king as well. For us, we're more on both sides. We like a little bit of luxury, but then we still go to the cheaper side of things most of the time to save more cash and to travel more long term. For budgeting, there are a few aspects that you will need to absolutely consider when you're planning your budget. Number 1 is probably your accommodation, where you're going to stay, whether in a luxurious hotel or a backpacker hostel. Transportation, how you're going to get around, whether it's by taxi or public transport or I don't know, airplane or private jet and stuff like that. Number 3 is the activities that you're going to undertake, whatever you're going to do, whether is it going to be free or is it going to cost some money. So you have to factor those in. And also very important is to factor in for your travel insurance as well, in case you have unexpected surprises. Another thing to take into consideration is food. What are you going to eat? Are you going to cook your own meal, or you're going to buy outside? Or are you going to eat like a luxurious breakfast spread? Or you're going to opt for some cereals for breakfast? That will also affect your cost. And one way how we go about budgeting for each item is to obviously research online. You try to see how much are the typical things, for example McDonald's, or you could even ask friends and family members in that country how much they spend for a living. That's what we did when we went to Europe. And yeah, just research online, that would be enough. You can go to YouTube. Sometimes we want to find the supermarket prices for things, so we'll type supermarket prices and the location as well. You might get some reference from there. But the thing that is more important when budgeting is like, you shouldn't only save until that amount. For example, if you are budgeting $1,000 for a trip, don't only save for $1,000, because this is the expected budget, and the actual budget is not always the same as the expected. The actual is normally higher than the expected, which is normal. There are things that will come unexpected along the way, and you can't do anything but to spend. For example, you're at the airport and you have excess luggage, especially with girls. Oh my god, they buy so many things that sometimes you will hit some excess. You have to fork it out of your own pocket, so you have to have a bigger pocket to fork something out of that pocket. For our 100-day honeymoon trip, we were budgeting around $3,000 a month. That is excluding our flight, so that is roughly what we were spending around. And yeah, that can be cheaper depending on the countries that you're visiting. If you're staying put in one place, then there's much less moving around, then you might be spending less as well. If you want to have more details about our expenditures during our 100-day honeymoon, make sure to check the link in the description box. If you want to check out our 100-day honeymoon video, I'll link it. I'll link it. Sorry. I'll link it right here. I'll link it right here. Check that out and let us know what you think. Also, if you find value in our videos, do click that subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, click that bell notification icon so that you're notified on all of our future videos. If you have any other questions related to travel or planning for a trip or honeymoon trip, then you can put your question in the comment box below and we'll be happy to answer these for you. Now we'll move to the second part of the video, which is more about how to get the money, how to go about getting the money, be it before you're traveling or during your travel as well. We'll give you 7 tips for that. Tip number 1, which is probably the most common one, is to save and spend. Save as much as you need for the trip and then spend it. This comes in addition to your wedding expenses. So you have your wedding expenses here and you have your honeymoon fund here. You can't mix the two. Sometimes what happens is that people, when they need some money for their wedding, they will just chunk the money from the honeymoon fund and then put in the wedding. So it depends. You might do that as well in case of emergencies. But yeah, try not to do that. Our advice is you don't have to be engaged before you can save for your wedding. You can start saving now. Now is the best time to save. Tip number 2 is no gift box. So normally when we have weddings, there are people who give physical gifts and some people who give monetary gifts. In Mauritius, what we practice is to humbly ask for monetary gifts in the form of no gift box. So you can opt for no gift box so that you're able to use some of the money for your honeymoon fund as well. Because let's face it, you don't want to end up with 10 coffee makers in your house. It's more suitable in terms of practicality. Tip number 3 is to set up a honeymoon fund. Some people, what they do is that during their wedding, whether it's a ceremony or a reception, they will have another box at the entrance or the outrance whereby people can chip in for their honeymoon fund. This fund is specifically for their honeymoon, which is kind of separate from their wedding gifts, and people can chip in some extra for their honeymoon trip. Some people do crowdfunding online as well, which is probably not our styles of doing things, but yeah, there's no right or wrong. You can always do that. Do whatever it takes to travel more. Yeah, do whatever it is. It sounds nice. Tip number 4 on how to get money. Other people, what they do is work on the go. As they are traveling, then they are working, whether it's a freelance job or probably it's a teaching job online or teaching job in the place that they are going to. But this, I guess, would be more for a long-term honeymoon travel. If you're going for 2 weeks, I don't think you would want to work during your honeymoon as well. So it's more suited for long-term traveling. Tip number 5, which is what we did personally, was remote working. So it was essentially for me because my company allows me to work remotely. So there are times and days that I'll be working. For my main honeymoon, I took 1 week off and then did what I need to do. Honeymoon. For the rest of the honeymoon trip, I was working and then traveling as well. Some people might not like it, but it was fine for me. I was able to do my work and I was able to travel as well. You get the best of both worlds. I didn't have to worry about getting all the money saved up in one shot, but as I'm working on the go, there's some cash always coming in as well. Some people have online businesses which they run from their laptop while traveling. So that's another thing to consider. If you want to long-term travel, maybe you can work towards an online business, which is the trend nowadays. There's a lot of people working remotely while traveling. It's hot right now. Tip number 6 is to have a credit card. Most people will argue that having a credit card will allow you to spend more, but yeah, it's true in a way. I do agree with that, but also it allows you to get out of emergency situations. For example, there are sometimes you will need to buy things online, and sometimes debit cards are not usable, so you have to absolutely use a credit card for that. Credit card can be such a great lifesaver, especially if you have things that you don't have the fund for it now, but probably next month you'll have the fund, so you can purchase first and then pay later on. But be very careful with your expenditure. You don't want to spend too much until you go broke. We don't recommend getting into debt, but it's a backup for us in case we need some extra cash. By the way, if you like our video, do press the like button, comment and share. It really helps the YouTube algorithm to recommend our video to other people. The last tip is how much money to bring around while you're traveling. If you're traveling for a few months, you don't want to bring all your cash together with you, because let's face it, you might get robbed, you might lose the cash somewhere, and it's not ideal to bring all the cash one shot. We would normally change part of it and then go to the country, and if we need extra ones, we would retrieve from the ATM. We found that ATMs offer the best rates for us, even better rates than if we were to exchange the money at the money exchanger. But do ensure that your card is eligible for overseas withdrawal. That would be crazy if you were to bring a card but then you couldn't withdraw the cash. Make sure to comment below what is the tip that you found most useful or you've learned more about today. Do also comment other tips that you might have to save money or get money while traveling. Make sure to like, comment, and share this video to other people that might find this useful, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.